Welcome. Our next question is, why does experience matter? This is a really, really good question because we're actually in the experience economy at the moment. So understanding the experience of the persona or the person that we're trying to learn about gives us further insight into the person, whether that be a person as an individual, a group of people, a team, or an enterprise. A map of someone's experiences allows decision makers to see the experience through the eyes of another person. Like an empathy map, an experience map helps decision makers to put themselves in the shoes of the person living the experiences. So why does experience matter? Well, more recently, we started hearing the saying, experience is everything. Never before have so many experiences ever been available. And we're starting to see the emergence of experiences in restaurants, hotels, pop-up shops, shopping malls. We're seeing VR, hiking tours, leisure experiences, and particularly since COVID-19, we're seeing a lot more virtual experiences online. We're also seeing, something I saw this morning was on a restaurant that actually shines a little video that actually plays on the table of the customers so they can watch this little video on their table while they're waiting for their order. And I thought, what a fabulous idea. It's just really quirky, but it just adds to the experience. It makes you want to actually go to that restaurant just to see the quirky little video and just to experience it, because it demonstrates that that particular restaurant really understood that experience matters. So people have been talking about experiences for quite some time. We know that more than 70% of most nations, Western nations I should say, GDP comes from services. And that people are looking for more than products. They're looking for experiences in which they can immerse themselves. And if we go back to 1989, Pine and Gilmore actually labelled the term experiences and the experience economy. And they argued that there was a shift from products to services, and that people will see this shift from products to services for something as simple as a children's birthday party, for example, where once upon a time, a children's birthday party, the emphasis was just on the birthday cake and the presents, which were the physical products. But more recently, the emphasis has been on, inviting clowns and the place where the birthday party is being held at, whether that be something like a Hungry Jack's and McDonald's, or whether it be in a park, or something like Cloudland, or a trampoline facility, or a 10-pin bowling alley. So people are actually understanding that experience does matter, and it was through this research that Pine and Gilmore did back in the late 80s that they came from the term experience economy. Now, why does experience matter? But because most offerings in the market are services, and this means that people are buying experiences because a service is an experience. The experiences of the people within the organisation, they have both a direct and an indirect impact on your overall customer experience. These experiences of the sales team, the customer acquisitions team, the digital marketing teams, the finance teams, the HR teams, the operation management teams, the project management teams, the IT teams, and so on. All of these teams have some degree of impact on the firm or the enterprise's overall customer experiences. And each of these teams actually have a role to play when we're looking at improving the customer experience. So it's really important, if you're interested in learning how to improve the customer's experience, that you involve all of the teams and you really kind of map out those that are having a direct or those that are having an indirect experience, and really looking at, well, what can they do in their team to actually improve the overarching customer experience. So you've got things like, for example, the finance team, they're probably focused on financial targets, KPIs, shareholder value, things like that. And they're going, well, we actually don't have a contributing factor. And you go, yeah, you do, because at the end of the day, you're going to be helping us with profit margins, with price setting, things like that. And those are the kind of things that are important to the customer, and they're both at a decision-making phase and whether they're going to continue the experience on. So it's important that all of the teams actually try and understand from their perspective, even though they may not have direct contact with the customer, what experience does matter. So again, over recent years, co-designing a strong customer experience has been one of the leading growth management objectives. Why? Because improving the customer experience is challenging. It's not one thing that you have to do. It's lots of little incremental changes across multiple teams, as we've previously discussed. A customer experience isn't in one place. You know, if we map a customer journey, we'll see that the customer and on their journey will have a number of different touch points, and touch points are the places where they interact with the enterprise, or whether it be the people, whether it be the website, whether it be the socials, whether it be somebody else, listening to somebody else talking about the particular brand or the enterprise. So the enterprise has to recognize that with the customer experience, there are elements that are within their control and there are elements outside of their control. And all of these things make it really complicated and complex to really try and improve the customer experience, because there's many paths a customer can travel. There are many ways that they actually have a brand experience with you, and that they learn about the brand promise or the offering that you're trying to engage them with, or take them on an experience, whether that be as a short-term customer or a long-term customer. People make choices on the basis of their past experience. So experience does matter. Their past experience influences how they proceed moving forward. For example, with customers, they'll make decisions about which products and services to buy, and their past experiences with particular brands or customers or salespeople or the brand or socials will really impact on whether they're likely to continue. If the experience was positive, then a consumer is likely to continue to consume from this brand. However, if the experience was a little bit clunky, it wasn't as easy as they expected, it was a little bit difficult or challenging or painful or annoying or problematic or negative even, then they may not continue. They might switch brands, they might look for other alternatives, they might look for somebody that's easier to deal with. So it's really important that we kind of get this experience right. The reality is that most customer experiences are indifferent. And indifferent experience means that the customer's not really thinking about the experience. It's neither positive or negative. They might not even remember which brand they purchased. They mightn't even think about it. And this can be both a positive and a negative thing. If you're moving from a negative experience, then indifferent experience is definitely a positive thing. If you're moving from a positive experience and you haven't leveled up as the benchmark starts moving, then an indifferent experience can be a negative thing, because when people are indifferent, they're likely to switch. they're not likely to look for alternatives. So experience does matter. So when we're thinking about our experiences that we've all had them, we've all potentially had an experience that was a wow factor. A wow factor is like, oh my God, wow! It's a surprise, and in a good way, when somebody did something for you that was unexpected and it made you feel really, really good and in a positive way. And when we look at what an experience is, it's actually made up of multiple moments. And each of these moments are going to be variable. You're not going to have one single moment. You're going to have lots of different multiple moments in the pre-decision making. You're going to have moments within the decision-making process, when you're purchasing. You're going to have moments post-purchase. You're going to have moments when you start to look at repurchasing again. You're going to have moments that could turn into habits as well. So it's really important that we understand that these moments, with them, there can be an opportunity to create wow moments within the customer experience. And we can identify points where that could potentially happen. The reason that we want to try and develop wow moments within the customer experience is because we want to have that wow moment contribute to the overarching positive customer experience. So some leaders are actually looking at developing wow moments as a risk mitigation tool. Others are looking at, well, how can I actually make my customer experience even better? Either way, there is a lot of evidence to suggest that when we start to create wow moments within the customer experience, that the customer is likely to have an overarching positive experience, and it's likely to weigh out any of the negative experiences as long as they weren't too strong. So wow moments influence the strength and the valiance of the overarching experience. So when we're talking about strength, if the wow moment, or if the positive is only a weak factor, it's going to have a weak impact on the actual overarching experience, whether the person thought it was fabulous, whether it was great, whether it was just, yeah, okay, whatever. Valiance is whether it's positive or negative. So what we're trying to do with a wow moment is create a strong, positive experience so that we have an overarching, strong, positive experience. It's going to weigh out any little negative, niggly bits that may have happened along the way. So the idea is to actually improve the customer experience, or one method to improve the customer experience is to identify potentials for wow moments along the customer journey. So the positive experiences that may be helped, particularly when somebody experiences you for the very first time. And there can be a number of ways of doing this. Recently, I went to an event, and the person that I purchased some products from, she gave everybody their products in a lovely little brown paper bag. And then within the brown paper bag, these were beauty products. She actually then gave us a beautiful little white purse with gold glittering on it. And then within that, she actually, as we started to unpack what she'd given us, she had learned a little bit about each of the people and had given us a free lipstick within our bag that we certainly were not expecting. So she'd actually individually organised a lipstick that she knew we didn't have, a colour that we didn't have, and it was a colour that we're hoping to get. And this was a wow moment for all of us at this particular event, because none of us could believe that during this whole time she'd noticed what lipsticks we were looking at, or remembered that, and that we were certainly not expecting to get a lipstick for free. So this definitely gave us a strong, positive moment. And it's certainly something that we were all talking about after the event with each other, and we were playing with our new lipsticks and trying them out, and having conversations. So we're continuing having that conversation about that particular person, about that particular product, about that particular brand, and we were telling other people about it. So wow moments in the customer experience do matter.